All right, welcome everyone. Another week, another Natural Ones. Despite the very upbeat, synth-wavy intro, this is an episode about metal. So, uh, joined by Greg. You guys know Greg and his
Whoa.
co-author, Frank.
What's up, guys?
What's up? Explosion.
Or Murder Face. As,
Needs some zazz.
Needs a little jazz.
I love Metalocalypse. So yeah, Greg came to me with this topic, and I thought it was a good topic. And other people like Malachi and those that watch the channel said this is a good idea, because I do think there's a link between metal and role-playing games and fantasy and stuff like that, obviously. So I thought it'd be a fun conversation to talk about like that bleed over and stuff like that. So I think it'll be fun. But thank you guys for coming on, and I hope we have a good, fun conversation, because this is something near and dear to my heart about the specific genre of music that I love within the hobby that I love. So I'm looking forward to this.
Cool.
Yeah, sweet. And thanks for having us on.
And yeah, so if you guys don't know, I think everyone knows, they should go check out your guys' book, Chronicles of Aeres. Check it out. It's good stuff. Because of course, third party does 5e better than Macuahuitl, in my opinion. But yeah, where do you guys want to start? I think we were talking about, before we just went on right now, we should start with talking about maybe our own history. All three of us have been in bands at some point that were playing metal. So yeah, I don't know. I guess we could start there.
Yeah, I could dive in here. Actually, Greg and I, in college, we played metal together. We made a few, was it 2 full-length albums and 3 EP albums?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did all the instrumentation, and Greg did some keys, and he did all the vocals on that and wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah, we were in a black metal band. Not really a band. It was just us.
It's just us.
In my one bedroom.
Yeah, your
like
dorm.
In my bedroom with we had a shitty starter amp and like a really shitty microphone, and we were like recording, because back then I had like one of those tower computers that had the Creative Sound Blaster Live, and it had the front panel, and we would plug the guitar, like the amp, directly into there. Sometimes and like just record with Cool Edit Pro. We did it all that way.
Yeah, but I mean, we tried to get intentionally experimental with it and everything. Like, I think on one song we put the mic in a coffee can, just to make it sound like shit. I put like nails in the can with it so they would like rattle and all that. And I think the highlight of it was we did our corpse paint and everything, and we went out to get our photos like for our fucking album and everything. And someone called the cops on us while we're out in the graveyard with our corpse paint with our axes trying to.
I gotta address some comments in the chat here, because normally Vic is on, so Vic is promoting Euro Dance for the win. That's cool, man. There you go. And Malachi says, "What? I only get Victor Gorchev in the chat, and Victor, what are you doing on this end of things?" Vic, he was more than welcome to come on, but he's not a metalhead, and he was like, he wouldn't have anything he felt to contribute to it. He'd just be like, Demi Borgir is cool, or Iron Maiden's neat. And I get that. So, he wanted to sit this one out, and I know he said he's been streaming a lot lately, so he's tired. So, I know the viewer count's going to be lower because you guys are here for Vic and not really for me, but
even though it's your show.
Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. But that's funny. I never was a black metal guy personally. I was more like into power metal and like progressive metal stuff. Very cool. I liked black metal. And I particularly liked like the post black metal stuff. Like Agalok and
oh my god, I love Agalok.
Yeah, or I still listen to like Wolves in the Throne Room. I think those guys are really cool. But that's probably like the closest I got into Demi Burger.
Dummy Burger. That's what we used to call him. If there is cheesy. No, we were into metal like early in high school, like in the 90s, like
Mhm.
before we did all that. And we would drive around in Frank's truck, and he had like a whole bin of like random tapes that we would play. And our buddy Jay, who's not here, who was one of our D&D players, he was like obsessed with Metallica. And he was a stereotypical metalhead he was in the stupid class in high school, and he was just like,
He was Nathan Explosion.
yeah, he literally was. It's like a long-haired like guy with a black t-shirt. He was obsessed with Metallica, and we would just drive around listening to Metallica and like talking about AD&D, because we were obsessed with AD&D and obsessed with metal and Metallica. And I would sit in my room like working on AD&D campaigns because I was a loser, and like, you know, I would like plan out the whole campaign, like pages and pages of it, because that's what people did back in the 90s.
Sure,
like,
yeah.
You can't really pretend like people didn't like do that all the time, because they did. But like I would sit there and I would just wear out like Led Zeppelin albums. Like I've listened to more Led Zeppelin in my life than probably any other band like ever, and probably Frank has too.
Yeah, well, we kind of lucked out in our high school. You know, we had a guitar class, right? And all of my metal friends were in the guitar class with me. And the people I was in a band with at the time were in my class with me. And so for our school talent show, we busted our fucking ass, and we learned how to play a Dream Theater song.
Oh, nice. Which one?
And it was Peruvian Skies.
Okay.
And we did a melody. We went in from that into Have a Cigar by Pink Floyd, and then into Enter Sandman. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get all the chicks. Here it is. And then some dude came and he like rapped. He like ripped his shirt off and did a backflip and like won the whole talent show. And I was like, oh, I just spent 6 months learning a bass line.
Yeah.
The girls are like, what's Dream Theater?
We used to listen to Dream Theater and Blind Guardian, obsessed with. I played when Nightfall and Middle Earth came out, because I was a big Tolkien nerd. Like, still am huge Tolkien nerd, and when that came out, it was like changed my life. It was a life-changing album for me. I played that album over and over and over and over.
Yeah, for me, Blind Guardian was much of high school for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, when Nightfall and Middle Earth came out, I thoroughly enjoyed that album. I even as I got a little more operatic with like A Night at the Opera and the later stuff, I don't really listen to their newer stuff as much. It feels a little
neither.
It feels a little more sterile than their past stuff. There's like a raw, organic nature to like anything pre Night at the Opera, in my opinion. But yeah, they were huge to me. That and Dream Theater. Dream Theater is a huge influence on me. I got a signed Dream Theater poster back here from when I saw them.
Very cool.
The 20th anniversary tour, 2005-2006. So I got all of them to. Actually, I should share this picture. Let me see if I can find this picture here. You'll see a young basic expert here.
Nice.
Let me bring it up real quick. You guys can.
Yep. Well, so to tie together Fantasy and Blind Guardian for me, it was maybe 2003 here in Atlanta, and Prague Power was the big festival, right? The big, and I couldn't go, but my buddy drove and he stayed with me at my college dorm, and he went, and I would just drive him, drop him off, and then pick him up. And so he one day, whenever I went to go pick him up at the festival, he was like, sneak in with me, sneak in. So I snuck in and saw Blind Guardian for like, I don't know, one song. And there was a kid sitting on the floor with a flashlight in the back of the room reading Lord of the fucking Rings while the band played. And I'm like, okay, I get it.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so awesome. I got to
oh wow. Holy shit.
That was fun. That's when I got them to sign the poster. So
whoa.
So good times. When Mike Portnoy was still in the band, obviously too, because this was like, man, this is almost like coming up on almost 10 years ago. So
that's prog rock street cred right there.
Yeah. Frank, do you have the picture? Probably you don't have it handy, of waiting in front of the bus like for Danzig to sign the autograph.
Oh God, no.
With
no,
Mike
I don't have that handy.
And buddies, and like Danzig was like sitting there. You were so excited, like, and we had a couple of other metalhead buddies that were with that we hung out with and played D&D with us like from time to time.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know. To us, it was like we were super into, like, obsessed with metal and D&D at the same time, and like it was like something to us that nobody else knew about at all. Like nobody knew about that except for me and our friends, like at all, in the whole high school, in the whole place that we lived in, and the whole town, the whole city. Like nobody knew about it, so it kind of made us feel like,
It
I
was
don't
an
know, like,
exclusive club.
yeah, it was an exclusive like club, and like D&D was too, and like it was like the Hellfire Club in Stranger Things. You know, I don't know. It kind of was, actually. Like it really kind of was for us. Like,
I'm curious, in because when I was in high school, I was a metalhead. So I'll share this picture because this is a little after high school. So and Greg looks this picture of me. He, so this is like a little after high school. So I look like this, long hair, and here this is when I was playing with my band at the time. It's probably like 19 or 20 in this picture, so it's a little after. Were metalheads sort of like just kind of ignored? Because in high school you always have like the hierarchy of cliques and stuff. And when I was in high school, it was like, at least where I was at in Southern California, metalheads, we were sort of just like peripheral. Like we weren't necessarily popular, but we weren't picked on. Everyone just sort of like left us alone. They didn't really bother us. So I'm curious, like, was it connecting it with D&D, but then also being metal? Did that have anything? Were you picked on? Was it persecuted, I guess? Any of that kind of stuff that happened with you guys?
Well, I don't feel really persecuted for it by any means. No, there was a lot of metal people at our school. Yeah.
Frank
And
probably,
even go ahead.
Yeah, had more of a worse experience than I did because his family was like super religious.
Yeah.
And so like he had to like endure some, almost a kind of a satanic panic thing a couple of times.
Well, it made the metal even better. That's what
Yeah.
That's what it did. It made me appreciate it more. So.
But yeah, like we actually, because all the like cool kids would listen to like, I don't know, like Linkin Park and like Korn and stuff like that, and we were listening to Iron Maiden and Iced Earth, and we thought, look at these fucking guys, like they're just listening to this, and that's not metal, that's false metal. Like we were we were into the whole like false metal thing, and like we thought we were so cool.
Yeah, there was my group of friends had that like elitist mentality as far as musical tastes. Like that band doesn't even have they don't even do guitar solos. Like, what's wrong with them? That sucks. Like what is this less than music? But I asked just because when I was in high school, like it wasn't necessarily uncool and it wasn't necessarily cool to be to be a metalhead. Like we were just sort of on the peripheral. We all hung out together with our metal shirts and had long hair, and people left us alone, and like we didn't really bother other people. But I don't know. There was I don't feel like I was ever picked on or anything like that. But I was just curious if you guys had ever experienced that, because I know.
No, I think we're in the same boat really as far as like metalheads are concerned. Like we were just kind of did our own thing. I was more picked on for playing Magic the Gathering than anything else. People used to make fun of me a lot for that. Like, because the Magic the Gathering kids were nerds. Like, there's no question. Like, they were the nerdiest of the nerdy. Like, they were not metalheads at all. But, yeah.
Well, I was never super adamant about the guitar solo elitist thing, too. Because, like, my favorite metal band of all time is still Typo Negative. And I can, their guitar solos were kind of few and far between. But, I mean, damn, their songwriting was legit. And I was a bass player. So band like Typo, they're all, that's bass heavy. So
yeah, we were really into Danzig too. And like it eventually, right at the end of high school, started to cause almost a schism in our close-knit group of metalhead friends, because like we started to listen to like heavier stuff with like harsher vocals like Death.
Mm-hmm.
And like Death is probably top 3 metal bands of all time.
Oh yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
And that's why I like that picture, because you look like Chick Shoulder. But like once we started listening to that, like, and some of our other D&D nerd friends who were metalheads, like, they're like, oh, we only like fantasy power metal. And they would listen to, like, they would keep listening to Rhapsody and Angra and, you know, Stratovarius and all these, like, fantasy power metal bands, and Freedom Call and Hammerfall, like, all of the ones, like, yeah! Like, they all had those vocals.
I just
And,
needed
like,
more attitude, you know.
yeah.
That's all. But
like, they actually, like, started to look down upon us for listening to this shitty death metal where it sounds like the Cookie Monster or whatever. It turns into like this fight.
I liked it all though. Like, you know,
Yeah, I mean, we eventually did.
I was a little elitist at first, but I think like when it's kind of like when you first discover anything, right? You first discover old school games, and so all of a sudden you become an expert on old school games, and everyone else sucks, and you're so smart because you found old school games. You know, you find metal or you find a specific band, and then everyone else sucks and is dumb because they don't listen to this band. You're so smart because you found it. But then eventually you do grow out of that eventually. But and Pancho here is mentioning Meshuggah. I was and still am huge into Meshuggah. I had an 8-string guitar for a time because of Meshuggah, and I was
very cool.
I was writing like Genty stuff. I don't know if it'll play through StreamYard. I can probably maybe try and play some of it, but or at least a little clip of it. But I loved Meshuggah. And you know, they're kind of light on the guitar solos too, or their guitar solos are very like atonal and sort of abstract, I guess is the kind word you could say it about some of their guitar solos. But
yeah, I love Meshuggah. So Opeth was always a big one for me too, and especially with role-playing games because they're just so atmospheric, right? And
and they're long.
Yeah, long songs, and they had these, you know, full seventh chords that they would play, like no power chords in their songs, right? I mean, it sounded almost like jazz, just full atmospheric, like spell the whole damn chord out. And and they were progressive too. And so that I've always loved Opeth, and I still do.
Yeah, I've Blackwater Park still, and Damnation. I didn't think I would like Damnation because I thought I'd like Deliverance more when that came out, but Damnation like instantly caught me.
Still Life got me too. I love Opeth.
Yeah.
And so I mean, since I started, even these days, I play a lot of like synthesizer stuff, and their most modern, you know, albums are all like Moog heavy, and I'm super into that.
Their music almost sounds like Opeth, but then they're starting to jam with like Deep Purple or something like that.
Yeah,
which is like which is pretty cool. But yeah, I love Opeth. I've seen them live multiple times too. I think I saw them live when Watershed came out, and then I think I saw them live when Ghost Reveries came out.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Ghost Reveries. Some people didn't like that one, and I was like, "What are you guys talking about? This is a great album."
I've never heard anything by them I didn't just immediately fall in love with. Yeah, they're a great shit.
People are
really. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, I love Opeth as well. Like, we were all into it. Still are. But, like, I never actively played metal during D&D. Like, when we were playing RPGs, or not even like Call of Cthulhu or some of the other games we played. Werewolf the Apocalypse, I think we did, because I was, like, super into, like, Metallica at that time. And, like, actually playing metal during, like, a werewolf game, it fits pretty well, right? But like not during D&D. I played nerdy like fantasy music, like instrumental stuff.
I would too, but I also started playing just like because it just fits so well. And some people, I get it too when you're playing role-playing games. One suggestion I've heard is like play instrumental music, because as soon as you add lyrics, it can become distracting.
Yeah,
I mean, it immediately comes to the foreground in your game. But sometimes I don't care. I'll play like I'll play Blind Guardian and Iced Earth, things like that I feel are appropriate to what's going on in my games. I've told the story before though too. I was into doom metal for a time too, and I had this like evil cult in one of my games, and every time they would come, I would play some songs from Funeropolis from Electric Wizard.
I love Electric Wizard.
They're great.
Oh yeah.
And so like it was great though, because it worked, like the music has lyrics in it and everything. But every time the Electric Wizard would come on, we'd be playing like typical fantasy music, and then Electric Wizard would come on, and they'd be like, "Oh crap, guys, that cult is here," because that was Electric Wizard sort of became that cult's theme song, and it just worked so well. So
we kind of did something like that recently when we were playing Astrius. Where we played the most recent Aeres campaign.
Oh yeah,
and the prototype for that Astrius adventure that we eventually made was. I was like, all right, we're making new characters. This was like only a couple years ago, like a year ago. We were playing D&D, 5th edition.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, make new characters. We're gonna have a side campaign where you go to Astrius, and it was gonna be like 70s doom metal inspired like classic D&D, and it was. And I played Electric Wizard then. That was fun. And we got Acid Mammoth, which is a really cool doom metal band, for the trailer for Astrius later. So it kind of like came full circle.
So, Greg, I think you should mention the Furies at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was into a phase where in high school where I was like, so we had D&D and we had Call of Cthulhu and like White Wolf stuff, but we didn't really have like a big like RPG store, I guess. So we didn't know about all these other million RPGs that were out there at the time. So I made my own RPGs because we wanted to play different things. So I made a ton, and I've shown off a few of them. I made a Metroid one, and a Jurassic Park RPG, and an Alien vs. Predator. But one that I made was the Furies, which was like, I made a specific metal soundtrack to go with the Furies RPG. And the point of the Furies RPG was you played as a fallen angel whose entire goal was to go around and like corrupt people. Like, so you're basically like an evil character, and the whole thing was heavy metal themed, and we played a lot of Danzig, and like there was all kinds of like crazy shit on that soundtrack. Frank has it somewhere.
I do. The game was basically The Prophecy, that movie with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
But with
fun.
Better music.
When they played it
Which
a couple of
Danzig
times.
is in part 2. He plays a cameo in part 2.
I was never like a big Danzig fan, but I always liked, just as a side tangent thing, like back in the early YouTube days, there was the Legion of Rockstars channel. I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but he had this video where this guy had this video where it was like tracked over and just made to sound like Danzig was terrible, but it was so funny. I'll see if I can find it.
Just a passerby says, "You mean you played Hell the Gods Kill?" That's accurate. Very accurate.
See if I can find it, because maybe I can. Because it's just too funny to not share with people. To share if you've never seen it before, it's just too much. Let's see.
So he's actually pretty short. And the time I met Danzig, he was signing autographs on his bus, sitting in the driver's seat. And I stepped up to get my autograph, and you weren't supposed to step on the bus, but walk up to it. Next thing I know, he's in my face and he's yelling, but he's still standing at the top step, and we're eye level. I was scared shitless.
I don't know if the sound will come through on this. Is the sound coming through?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just so bad.
Oh my god.
It's great.
Mother, Journey tells you not to run my way. Your children not to hear my words. They mean what they say. Mother, mother, tell your children now daily life. Tell you how I is lying now.
I'll stop there. You get the picture.
Right. If you haven't seen his movie that's just come out, Veratic, holy fucking shit! It is the goofiest thing anyone has ever made, and he's dead serious. He hired a bunch of porn stars and filmed a horror movie, and it's like an anthology short stories, and none of them make sense. And there's this scene where this woman's like shirt comes off, and instead of nipples, she's got like big scary eyeballs, but it's like you could see the putty and the glue, and it's the absolute best.
I think I've not seen it, but I watched the Red Letter Media guys. I think went over his anthology, and they came to the same conclusions. Like, we don't know what we just watched. This was so bizarre.
It's instant classic at this point.
Like, we used to do almost like how some of the OSR people do now with like looking back. Like, we judged albums by sometimes the album cover. Like, because it had cool like fantasy cover art, and sometimes it was cheesy. Like, there's that one Manowar album where they're all like super like shiny and they're like dressed like
that's all of their albums.
Yeah, but like all the fantasy power metal albums had like these super high fantasy like Dragonlance looking covers. Like, oh yeah, I was like, I was super into it, and like, because it kind of matched the covers of like D&D books, and like D&D artwork, and like it kind of went together. It was like hand in hand almost for us.
Yeah, going back to Blind Guardian, I always felt like Blind Guardian had like they like the thumbnail for this video is from Somewhere Far Beyond, which that cover that logo. If you look at the thumbnail for this video, like you could stick that on a player's handbook or something like that, and it would fit.
Is that the one where the party is like having a short rest?
Yes, there's and they're playing some instruments, and then in the tree line you see like a bunch of monsters sort of circling around them. So it's a very D&D like. So their covers always did that, but sometimes you'd get tricked. You'd buy like a cover that just looked sick, and
like Molly Hatchet.
Yeah. Or it'd just be some like obscure power metal band that no one had ever heard of, and you're like, well, maybe I found that diamond that no one's seen yet or no one's found yet. And then you listen, and you're like, oh, this is why no one's heard of this, because this is not good.
Oh yeah, what was that album? It was like Fairyland or whatever. And there's a song on there that literally is the Smurfs.
No, that was that?
Who was it?
La 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 la. It was like yeah.
Like one of our best friend did not believe us that it was the Smurfs. One of the guys who was like so into power metal. It's like, no, it's not the Smurfs. And we had to like play it side by side, and he's like, it is the Smurfs. The most ridiculous shit. We had a player in AD&D 2nd edition. We used to have these huge. He made his character was Hansi Kirsch. He was a bard. That was his character. That was his name. I have his character sheet over here.
Hansi, oh my god.
For those in the chat that don't know, that's the lead singer from Blind Guardian. So
yeah, there was an interview with him for like a big magazine, and like Hansi claims that he never played AD&D.
Bullshit.
He says that his bandmates played it on the bus, like the tour bus, but he never played it. I'm like, yes, he was the DM.
He's rolling characters right now. That motherfucker plays D&D. What is he?
Yeah,
they're a band of nerds. Like that's what they're writing soundtracks to their own AD&D campaigns. So
right,
that's what we do. Frank, show up the tape.
Oh gosh, the tape. There's our Dungeon Set. This is our first album.
Yeah, I listened to it. It was really good.
Thank you.
I like the second one too.
Thank you.
That you guys just released. So I mean, that's just the two of you on synths then, just doing everything.
Yeah, I don't play anything. I just help a little bit, like figure out if it sounds good or not.
He's very honest with me and lets me know. And we've only had one moment where I'm not going to compromise. And on the newest album, I'm trying to get a little more like, okay, so I'm really big into King Crimson.
Okay,
like a lot. I love King Crimson.
Very good.
And, so I mean, that's why I got a lot of Mellotron songs on the album. And but anyway, I got weird with it, and I have a synth trombone solo, and Greg's like, yeah, what the fuck, there's a trombone.
Maybe the trombone needs to come down a little bit.
I'm like, I'm not compromising. It stays.
Oh, okay.
I will make trombone solos, dungeon synth. God damn it.
Hey, there's a black metal band called White Ward, and they have a saxophone player in the band. So
I know. I've
you know,
heard of them.
they're actually really good. And you're thinking like saxophone in a black metal band, this is stupid. It's not going to work. And then you listen to it, and you're like, all right, it's pretty good.
Well, that's just it. Like I wish metal was more, I guess, experimental. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a big adherence to like the tradition of metal, right? Like if you break out of like a genre of power metal, you're no longer like true power metal anymore, or whatever. So you hardly get these kind of like genre defying things, but bands like Opeth do. I really like that. They're jazzy, but also metal at the same time. And today I was driving home from work, and if you remember with Ginger, have you heard that band Ginger?
Of course, yeah, they're good. I like them.
Yeah, they have like fucking reggae parts in their like metal songs, like death metal, then reggae, and like to me, I think that's just really. I want to see more of that kind of shit in metal.
I think that's kind of happening, and you're starting to see like it. So, for instance, like I know some people don't like gent. I like gent. I dig it, but gent's kind of falling into the same problem as a genre where over the last 10 years, where it's like if you don't sound a certain way, then you're not gent anymore. But there's some bands that like break out and they start doing like really interesting and creative stuff as well. So I don't know, like Periphery, they're one of the first, and I feel like those guys and like Tesseract and a lot of those guys are always still trying to make like cool, interesting stuff that's different. Or there's a band I like called Leprous, and those guys started like pretty hard metal, kind of genty. Some of them I think had black metal band roots as well, and they're called Leprous.
Leprous.
Let me see if I can find the band.
Have you guys heard Animals as Leaders?
Oh yeah, those guys are really good.
That's some modern metal that I'm really digging lately.
Me and Frank have been listening to a lot of Gojira too.
Fucking love Gojira. They awaken something in me. I want to just flip the table over when I hear that shit. Like I love Gojira.
And then I've never heard of gent. Well, it's been popular for a while. Some people like it, some people don't. I think there's some really creative musicians in there, but some of it's very samey too. So you have to kind of sift through a lot of sameness to get to the good stuff.
The word is literally onomatopoeia for the sound of the riffs that the bands make. It's like it's like that's what it is. Like literally. It's like it's like that's why it's called gent.
I'm not sure what the last album Leprous did was. The last album I heard I enjoyed, but I haven't listened. If they have a new album, I haven't heard it yet. So I guess I'll have to go check it out. But I like Leprous. They're pretty sick. Like Coal, like the Fuel Coal is a great album. It's great.
Okay.
Every song is just like kick ass on there.
I'm adding shit to my Spotify as we're talking. But I see Likely Arrow talk about how the West was won. And I think part of my love of fantasy was whenever I was maybe about 9, I got my first box set CDs. It was the Led Zeppelin remasters. Same birthday, I got Lord of the Rings trilogy and my 2nd edition Player's Handbook. So those 3 things are like Led Zeppelin and 2nd edition D&D. All that's tied together in my brain. And Lord of the Rings right now.
Led Zeppelin and AD&D are very, very closely intertwined for us. Like I would play Led Zeppelin 4 just over and over again, working on D&D stuff at my computer. Like I'll still listen to it now. I don't care. It's all their shit's great. But
Likely Arrow says that's a great birthday. So
yeah. Likely Arrow said earlier. He said, "Is Led Zeppelin metal or proto metal?" I think Communication Breakdown is the first metal song, but we had arguments about this back even in high school.
Led Zeppelin's better than metal. I said it.
I mean, it is. It can be, but Like if we want to define like what metal sounded like, I think Communication Breakdown was pretty early, like metal
Well,
song.
in the early days, it was definitely sort of like bands were sort of I feel like easing into that. You know, it wasn't just to me. It's kind of hard to really pinpoint like where exactly that is. You know, some people like to put it squarely like on Black Sabbath, for example. You know, but you know, there was stuff that was influencing Black Sabbath and bands doing stuff even before Black Sabbath. So
I see Crown Lands being mentioned here. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. To me, it doesn't really matter. It's I guess it's a good way to argue about something if you're bored. But
yeah, it's funny because like now we argue about RPGs and like OSR stuff and whatever, like reading the rule book and like rolling dice and like all that stuff. But back then we used to argue about metal.
You got to find new things to argue about, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. You get bored arguing about something, got to argue about something new. So,
I see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Yeah, I agree with that statement there.
This one.
Yeah. But you know, as far as like modern, you know, if I was to put in music these days for soundtrack in the background, I would have to definitely lean towards King Crimson, and weirdly enough, Marillion. You guys were going to probably hate me for that one.
No, but, I like Marillion.
Yeah, I love Marillion.
I really like Marillion.
I think they're good. Just I don't know, that prog rock vibe kind of leans towards the fantasy kind of.
Don't forget
feeling.
Yes.
Oh, Yes is like I just got chest pains. I love Yes like so much.
I saw Yes. I saw Dream Theater open for Yes.
Oh my god,
it was fun. They had like because this was like I was like in high school still, so my friend's dad drove us because he didn't like trust us to go all the way to LA from where we were, so he drove us. He sat in the he was older, he had kids late in life, so he's just sitting there with us like his arms crossed like what is this shit? But you know, he was probably old enough to know who Yes was. But yeah, Yes was cool, and watching Dream Theater open for them and then see Yes was an experience. So
yeah, it's like, you know, I don't know what kids are like now because obviously I'm a boomer. I don't know anything about like the modern world.
You're 40. You're not a boomer.
We're boomers, but like
to Gen Z, we're all boomers. So
yeah, I don't know if Gen Z is like, do they know about metal, like the kind that we're talking about? Did they even know about that, or did they just listen to Post Malone?
I think they just listen to Post Malone.
So I work with all Gen Z guys, and I tried to play Dio the other day, and the guys were like, none of his lyrics make sense. We were listening to like this album, the song "Don't Talk to Strangers," and I got defensive, and I was like, wait, it's fucking right though, man. Like Dio, none of his lyrics make any sense at all. Like ride the tiger, you can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Like, and then he says, "Don't you see what I mean?" I'm like, not really, Dio. Not really.
You got a kick-ass voice though, man.
You saw Dio live, didn't you, Frank?
I did. I saw Dio with the Scorpions in Deep Purple, and Dio had this giant golden dragon like sculpture, right? And so it was before the show, and then the roadie came walking out, and he walked up to the microphone and lowered it, really, because Dio's really short.
It was like, damn it. What's the name of the what's the name? Spinal Tap. Yeah, it was like
it was like
remember the circle of like gnomes or whatever, like Stonehenge that was really small. That was big lord.
This is like breaking my brain here. I know TikTok Gen Z dorks think new metal is goth. It's damn depressing. So they're like listening to Korn and like, this goth music's sick. It's actually, I have a funny story about that. So a couple of years ago, I used to work for a time as an RV technician. So I would install like lithium battery systems and stuff like that, electrical systems and plumbing systems inside of trailers and RVs. It was a fun job. But I worked with this like younger guy. He was like fresh out of high school. He comes up to me and he's like, "Hey John, hey, have you heard of this band called Slipknot?" "Yeah, they're pretty good, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I know who Slipknot is. They've been around for like 20 something years now. They're not new. So it's just, I was glad he discovered something new to him, but it was just funny how he came up like, have you heard of this band? Like, have you heard of the Beatles?
Frank has
they're pretty good.
Frank has seen Slipknot more than any other band, and it wasn't his choice.
It was not my choice.
He randomly just shows up there somehow.
No, like my gym buddies were like obsessed with Slipknot, and so they always used to like big like group tickets. And I'm like, whatever, I'll go, I'll have fun. And it's fun to tailgate and just see like the freak show that is a Slipknot show. But they're actually really fun live. They're actually
They look fun. I mean, they're not my cup of tea of metal exactly, but whatever, I respect it. It's cool.
Yeah, it is what it is, Corey Taylor fell down on one of the shows that I saw him. He ran out and legs up in the air kicking and landed on his back. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, there's a couple of bands that we never got to see live that like is a shame because now we'll never be able to, like Death. Never saw Death.
Yeah.
Back with the height of our black metal, we would have loved to see Immortal. We never got a chance to see Immortal.
I did see Slayer. I thought I was in physical danger at Slayer. The first song, the first note, a fight happened in front of me, just immediately.
Didn't they start off with like Angel of Death and like?
No, it was War Ensemble. That was the very first song they played, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? And it was explosions and like too big of the explosions for the area we were in, and I'm like, where's the fire marshal right now? This is...
And that's another, I think, not to derail, but back to the topic, but but metal is very warlike, and it always has a lot of imagery with violence, with medieval type of imagery, with swords and battles, war, explosions, and like thrash is all about and so it kind of like there's a thematic tie-in with the type of RPGs and stuff that we like too.
It's like an audio version of fantasy, of the same kind of fantasy, I think, that we run at our tables, right? So like I said, I think that's why like album covers from like Blind Guardian and stuff like that, like if you were to take one of their album covers and slap it on an RPG book, you'd be like, yeah, that works, this is cool. What game is this? And there's some RPGs that have similar book covers, like slap that on an album cover for like a metal band and you're like, oh
yeah,
what band is that? This is awesome. They probably sound cool.
Metal had a visual element to it.
It did.
It had a theatrical like visual element, and I like Iron Maiden for that big time. They had a mascot, right? They were like the McDonald's of metal. I mean, they had solid branding and merch, and it was cool. It was cool.
Behemoth, who we saw live before they got famous, they like their live shows and their videos are like 100%. They look like villains out of a Chronicles of Aeres book. Like they look like cultists. They look like they look like fantasy. They look like ring wraiths, and they dress that way, and like they have this whole atmosphere, and it's like. But Nergal, the lead singer of Behemoth, like right now he's watching Netflix and he has like popcorn, like, and so these guys.
You follow his Instagram is very, very ordinary for the most like satanic dude out there. Like,
like Corpse Grinder has that famous video where he's shopping at Target for discounts. It's like these guys build these fantasy personas, very similar to how we create fantasy characters role-playing game.
But you know who does that, and I just really am not really into, is Amon Amarth.
I never got into them either. I don't know. They just never grabbed me.
They're kind of corny.
Maybe that's what it is. A little too corny.
A little too corny.
I'm all about...
shit. He said Merciful Fate, King Diamond. Yeah. He wins.
I mean, King Diamond is corny, but there's a kind of authenticity to what King Diamond does that something like Amon Amarth is like cool and all, but it's lacking. I don't know. It's missing something.
Yeah. They had that one song I liked. It was Victorious March. That's about it. Just that riff is pretty cool. Yeah, but like Merciful Fate, they were to me like, if you could put them in RPG terms, they were like Call of Cthulhu almost, like the horror based kind of, or Ravenloft and all that. I loved Merciful Fate.
I never got really into them either. I don't know. I felt like I would go maybe, and I think every metalhead kind of does that, where you find a band and then you sort of, there's like a spider web out, and then you follow certain paths down to like other bands, and then that one spider. So you take these paths, and sometimes it converges with like another metalhead's path, but yours isn't quite the same as every other metalhead. I think that's kind of cool because there's so many metal bands, and like even right now we're talking and we're like, like you're saying, oh, I'm adding things to the list now because I haven't heard of that before. Like, I think that's neat, and I feel like any genre of music is like that, but I don't know, metal seems particularly prone to that, which I like. Because my friends, we would sit there and talk about like, I just discovered this band, and then everyone's like, oh, that's cool. You always you're the hero if you can turn on your group of friends to like that new cool band that they hadn't heard yet. That was actually really good.
That was Greg in our friend group. We're talking like the late 90s, right? I didn't have a computer. None of my friends did. We were whatever, nerds. But Greg, he had a computer, and he would download tracks and make us tapes.
Yeah.
And
mp3.com. Back then, like, this was even before Napster. Napster was in college for me. But like, you couldn't find like whole albums, really. I'm sure maybe there was some obscure Usenet group where you could download whole albums I didn't know about. But it's like, that's the discovery thing you're talking about, like early back in the day in the 90s. Like, we would go down to the local used CD store. It's called CD Exchange, where we grew up. And if we found like just a random metal CD, we didn't know anything about the band, we would just buy it. Because we don't,
let's fucking buy it.
You can't find it. Like nowadays, you can just go on YouTube and there's like playlists of here's the top 10,000 metal songs.
Yeah. Or Spotify.
We didn't have that back then. If we saw a metal CD, no matter what it was at FYE or the CD Exchange, we would just like grab it and then like listen to it, and it might be good, it might be bad. We don't know.
Greg used to do this thing that was the best way to introduce me to music, and he would make these playlists, but he would record this like fake British radio host that said like an old British roadie. And he had his radio show called The Gates of Hell.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he would introduce the songs.
It was fun.
Greg, can you give me some of the Gates of Hell guy?
Oh, I can't remember him. We need to try and find him. It's been so long. That's like 25 years ago. But I just vaguely even know what you're talking about. But that is hilarious. You brought it back for me.
That's funny. I remember getting songs off of where I discovered a lot of bands, because kind of to your point, Greg, where you couldn't really find full albums, was Kazaa. I remember my family had Kazaa.
Oh yeah.
Or I downloaded Kazaa on the family computer and got many a virus, to much the frustration of my father. But downloading like, oh, look, a new Blind Guardian song. I haven't heard that one. Or what's this band? I think I discovered Symphony X that way, just like searching. I loved Symphony X. I don't know if you guys like them. They're pretty cheesy, but
I heard of them. Yeah, that was our buddy Mike,
good.
Hansi Kirsch metal dude.
Yeah, they're real progressive, like neoclassical almost.
Type stuff.
The Odyssey, the album The Odyssey is great. It has like a 24-minute song where they tell the whole story of the Odyssey in song form. It's amazing.
Well, I think metal is the way that it tied in with the way we played RPGs, because we were very DIY, like Greg said earlier, we made our own RPGs and made our own character classes and all this shit back in like second edition. And Greg started making playlist, tapes, music, CDs, and it kind of went hand in hand. Like we made the media and compiled the media that entertained us, right? And I think that carried on to us in college, being in our first metal band together and doing our own home recordings. And I think that's why, like, to this day, Greg and I still like write D&D books and make Dungeon Synth albums. It all kind of the shit that inspires you to like just keep creating things and keep going. And metal was a huge part of that. A huge part of that.
And that's kind of part of the appeal of why the indie gaming thing and the old school gaming thing is getting more popular. I guess it has that grassroots, like, kind of do-it-yourself feel where, like, the little guy, like somebody like you, John, who has Macuahuitl, or like, even somebody that nobody knows about outside of our circle, like Goodman Games or whatever. Like, check out this new book by, like, Black Sword Hack. Check out, dude, did you see Black Sword Hack? And like me and Frank both bought it. That's like almost like discovering a new metal album back in high school.
Black Sword Hack is fucking, it's fucking awesome. You say that.
It's like, so it has that same kind of feel, I think.
Yeah. The scene definitely has like a, it is very similar to like the metal band scene where like you have your favorite artist / creator, you like them as maybe like a personality. I think that DIY mentality that you mentioned is important because like this is something that was related between TTRPGs and metal. Is I feel like if you're a metalhead, you generally play an instrument or have played an instrument at some point. Like you play guitar, you play drums, you play bass, you play keys, you play something. Whereas like with TTRPGs, and particularly like old school mentality, and you guys are doing this too, like you make your own games. You don't just like consume other people's stuff, but like you make your own too. Everyone is like a producer and a consumer at the same time. And I feel like the metal scene is kind of like that. At least it was when I was like really into it. And, the indie tabletop role playing scene is kind of like that too, where many of the people that everyone that is in it is like, if they haven't released it, they've at least like tried to make something, it might not have been successful. Might have been like that band that played like one show and they didn't really do very well. And then everyone argued and they broke up, but they still tried. And I feel like there's that parallel between the two subcultures, I guess.
That's kind of the part of why I'm fascinated with Dungeon Synth and why I showed it to Frank and we made those two albums. Like he made those two albums. It's like Dungeon Synth is almost like the old high school metal. It's like, not to insult any Dungeon Synth people who might be listening, but like 95% of the Dungeon Synth is made by just a nerd who has like rudimentary understanding of keyboard and has like a little bit of synth gear, and that guy plays D&D. Like literally there's like whole sections of Dungeon Synth that have the OSR logo on the album. Like literally they put the OSR logo on there. It's like designed for it almost, but like 95% of the guys are just doing their own thing because they're into it so much that they just want to try it out whether it works or not, which is cool. Go out there and do it. Just go out there and try it.
Plus, how fun is it to make a fucking cassette tape, right?
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's neat. Make a cassette tape. Yeah. I don't know. Every time I see a cassette tape, it makes me think of when I was a kid and trying to record songs off the radio and stuff like that. Oh shit! I got the commercial. Damn it!
Or the DJ talks over the end.
Yeah, you're like, that asshole ruined my song.
And in middle school, I used to hook up my Super Nintendo to my record player, which had a cassette recorder, and record Final Fantasy music onto cassette. It was like the nerdiest thing anyone has ever
done. Some Gen Z person's watching, they're like, what are these people talking about?
Yeah, what is this?
What is a record player?
I went super nerdy with the new album too. The very last song is a cover of the castle theme from NES Dragon Warrior.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, tape trading is a big deal in the Dungeon Synth world. Like on these Facebook groups, these guys have like collections of like hundreds. Like for some reason it's a big deal. I would have chosen CDs, but I guess I don't know. That's just
Dropbox. You can just like Dropbox the files. You need it on your shelf though. It's like putting the RPG book on your shelf.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta have cool cover art.
Physical media.
Well, physical media is nice because they can't change it. You can't. It's on your shelf. They can't erase and change things that you like. It's there, and you have it forever, or at least as long as your book holds together, or your cassette, or your CD, or whatever.
I mean, that's why I always prefer a physical book for all RPG stuff.
So go ahead.
I was just going to add that I don't think we're ever going to make an RPG book that's not actually a physical book. We'll find a way to get it out there somehow.
Well, speaking of the physical media, I mentioned earlier the metal band Greg and I were in. It's been so long. I didn't have any of the songs on my computer. I found that shit on eBay recently. One of our albums in Germany. Someone had it in Germany. So I had to buy my own music from 20 years ago off eBay.
Yeah, it was really weird. There's like people in Russia and like Greece and Germany selling weird. Our black metal album on CD, the actual one that we released.
That we made in your dorm room on the floor with a coffee can.
If you go to rateyourmusic.com, you'll find it, and like it's got like 30 reviews and like, oh, this is pretty good, man. It's like all these European people like it. How did you find this? Like,
so I got, there's a couple of reviews of it, right? Yeah. And one guy compared my guitar playing to a leaky faucet.
which is a big positive actually in the black metal world. It's like, if it didn't sound like a leaky faucet, that means you sold out basically.
I'm trying to envision how a guitar would sound like a leaky faucet.
It was our second album. We got super minimalist, right? And there's, really like slow, like doom metal kind of stuff, and
yeah, it's like, okay.
It's like a three note drip out of a guitar for like 10 minutes, and
it's like I don't think this has enough reverb. Let's add more reverb. Let's add more reverb. Let's add more reverb. Let's add more. Like it just is. It sounds like it's being played in like a subway car or something. Like it's very primitive, but people liked it.
It's like 2 minutes of just rain sound effects.
Yeah.
They're like, this makes a great white noise machine. I play it before I go to bed.
Like there will be like a distant chattering of a fuzzy guitar with like rains and thunder, and then just me going like black metal voice over it, and it's like A+, 10 out of 10, black metal album of the year apparently.
It is on YouTube if you want to look it up. The band is called Wraith, and the album is called Shadows, and it is not great.
Hey,
I love it. I love it.
At the time, it was the best that we could do.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll find it right now. Do you guys care?
Oh yeah, go ahead. There's gonna be a black and white cover with this like Dracula looking dude on it. It's a real gnarly album cover.
Let's see if I can find it. I'll look for it. I have to type Wraith Shadows black metal. Let me find it. It might have been taken down. It was up on YouTube for a while, but it's possible it just disappeared.
We didn't put it up there. Some
random person did. Oh well, but now you know the name of the album if you want to find it. It's around somewhere. In Russia or Poland, someone is selling it.
Let's see if I can find it another way here. But okay, well you have a Encyclopedia Metalium review page.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Let's bring this up. I think this is you guys.
It must be.
My name is Grima Wormtongue and the band.
Oh yeah.
That's it. That's us. That's the album.
And we have multiple reviews.
So you got a 78% here from 2007.
That's passing, right?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
You got an 89 here. Interesting. 89%.
I don't know who these people are.
No. But look at our album cover. It's cool.
Yeah, so I went to art school, and this was a buddy of mine that was in one of my classes, and he did all of our album covers. He was a pretty fucking badass artist.
turn off my camera. I'm starting to lag again. I've been having technical issues, but I want to read this here. Let's see here. Wraith are a defunct metal band from the United States, formed in 2002 and signed to Graveless Slumber Records. The band have released 2 full-length albums before splitting up in late 2005. Wraith are a 2-man band consisting of Warlock on vocals and Grim Wormtongue handling all instruments. Shadows is the second. Greg is obviously Warlock, so yes. I'm gonna call you Warlock now. Shadows is the second of the 2 albums, and the only one I've heard thus far. This is your standard black metal release, dark, misanthropic, and melancholic, relying heavily on dark and ambient type music to express its themes, as well as haunting wails of agony and despair. Generally slow to mid-pace, occasionally strained to a faster sound and uncompromising blast beats. This is an incredibly atmospheric piece of music. As mentioned by previous reviewers, you can sense elements of the dark ambient genre as well as doom metal influences. Wraith have a tendency to create sweeping music, which entrances the listener and drags you along for their ride without being fully aware. Perhaps this deters from the actual good content of the album, as you could be forgiven for losing concentration as the album progresses.
That's a nice way of saying that it's boring.
Notable influences include Silencer and Leviathan due to its dark ambience and torture.
Yeah, I've never heard either of those bands that are my influences.
We just did whatever.
Very repetitive and highly monotonous.
Yes.
As with most black metal bands, it's incredibly minimalistic, not highly creative or dynamic. Oh wow, he's getting mean now. But for most, it should keep your interest for long enough. Distorted and twisted, melodic and flowing. Nothing spectacular can be found here, but it's good enough to merit a listen. Highlight Omens from the Mist.
I should send that guy my dungeon scent.
So, I mean, yes. He's Perplexed Shell from February 14th.
All these people don't exist. That guy's probably dead. This was like 20 years ago.
Well, I'm
surprised the site even exists. I was on.
It hasn't changed at all.
No, I was on the Metal Rules forum for like a long time, and like this site was there, and it was like it's exactly the same.
Hello, Victor.
Hey,
Victor.
Enough of this metal shit. Let's talk about Eiffel 65.
Let's see.
What is that background, Victor? What is that?
Yeah, that's I'm Blue Dabba Diba by Eiffel 65.
Oh, that's right.
The best band ever.
I remember now.
I've never heard of this before. So
you've never heard I'm Blue?
No.
Jesus.
No.
It's like one of those songs.
They were the songbirds of their generation.
Yeah, yes. Exactly.
It's like an early Darude Sandstorm.
Now that's what I'll call music.
Yes.
Part 15.
I wonder if my old band is on here. My band was a progressive metal band, and we called ourselves Delusions of Grandeur.
Not a libertarian metal band?
No, not on your. I don't even know how to spell my own band.
So Macuahuitl boys.
I do want to say the coolest fantasy metal song of all time ever would be Iron Maiden, Flash of the Blade.
I like that.
Craig's like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so metal bands I actually like. Rammstein, obviously. I'm a big Rammstein fan. I like Demons and Wizards. I like My Dying Bride. My Dying Bride is good. Electric Wizard I like. They're heavy as hell. Not sure if you guys ever heard of those.
Oh yeah,
talking about them.
I know
Covenant, Dimmu Borgir, like stuff like that. But yeah, I like all sorts of music. So I also like a lot of metal. I just don't follow it enough to like be knowledgeable about it. I don't know who the frontmen are. I don't know who the drummer is or who plays guitar. I just like the music and that's it. So
you're a tourist.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're a tourist in the metal scene. I'm just kidding.
There will never be another Demons and Wizards because that guy.
Oh God.
Got arrested.
Yeah.
Hansi Kirsch doesn't want anything to do with him anymore.
He's going to jail.
I think he's out.
He went to jail. He's out, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Oh, did he get out? What did he do?
He was part of January 6th.
Yeah, he
Oh.
walked down the hallway at the Capitol building, and then
He had like bear spray or some shit, right?
yeah, he had
Am I
What a
thinking of
monster.
somebody else?
yeah,
Well, there are a lot of bears at the Capitol.
yeah. He
so-
had like a MAGA hat on. He got in trouble. He wasn't supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, I still like Demons and Wizards and Iced Earth though. They're still a good band.
Yeah.
Me and Frank were talking
Bands.
about this, but we felt like I think Iced Earth was carried by Matt Barlow, who
Mhm.
I agree.
for all along, like after
Mhm.
Matt Barlow left, I had no interest at all.
Well, I've tried to go back and listen to it, like some of it recently, and it was. I had to turn it down a little bit. I was kind of embarrassed in my car. Like it was the one album about Spawn.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Dark
And
Saga.
it's yeah, and it was just kind of it was really corny.
We loved it back in the day.
I loved it in high school, but it was pretty corny now.
I tried to get into The Glorious Burden because that was the album after Horror Show when Barlow left the first time or one of the times, because I think he's left and come back multiple times, and I just stopped caring.
Yeah,
But
I saw them live for Horror Show. I saw them with Megadeth at the Atlanta Coca-Cola Roxy, and it was right like 9/11 just happened, right? And
Yeah.
it was like 2 weeks later.
it's
And
like,
it's so, yeah. And
Iced
like,
Earth is like eventually they became part of like this weird genre of boomer metal, where it's like they'll have like a really anti-government like album with like the album cover will have like Obama and like like Antichrist.
Megadeth got into that big time.
Yeah, Megadeth was like that. It's just kind of funny.
It's Fox News metal.
Yeah.
Shane Winter says we need more Aztec death metal bands, and there's actually
no.
a few.
Is that like Sepultura kind of?
Well,
No,
they're from South. They're from Brazil, I think.
No, I was talking about the Chasm. I was telling Basic
Oh, was that
Expert
the
about the Chasm. They're a really good melodic death metal band that I listen to. No one else knows who they are. But all their albums and songs are about like very obscure, esoteric, like Aztec mythology.
Cool.
So you need to listen. You need to look at this, John, because you're making this game. I don't know if you ever got a chance, but they're pretty cool.
Something I love about metal is like the subject matter. They have so much freedom to do. Right about
Please tell me that there's an Aztec metal band called Death Whistle, because
No, I haven't seen one called Death Whistle.
I mean, it's a good name though.
There's one called Semikin. There's one called Azteca. They're like a little more melodic, power metal, cheesy. Semikin is more like death metal, and then I know there's Aztlan. That is, they had a recent music video, I think, where they used AI art. But
yeah, that's part of why, and what Frank was saying with the genres or like the subject matter. It's like when you're a teenager who's into Dragonlance and Lord of the Rings, and you discover that there are bands whose entire albums, every song is about dragons. You're like, that blows your fucking mind. Like, oh my god! Like, there's like this. As a nerd, nothing could be cooler than a whole band about dragons or castles or wizards or like if you're put into D&D like we were, that's like it's a mind-blowing like thing to discover.
So
I like your nerd voice you did there.
Yes.
Does Typo Negative count as a metal band? I don't know. Does it?
I counted them earlier. They're my favorite.
Yeah, I love Typo. Okay, so there we go.
Yeah, Typo Negative is awesome for like shit at any time.
Yeah.
I was about to say they're cool for like a cyberpunk game, but I'm like, who am I kidding? Like, you can listen to Typo Negative anytime.
They're good for like a Vampire the Masquerade game. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
this
I
is
think that actually that's how we learned about Typo Negative. Was our buddy Dwayne was playing Vampire the Masquerade and like narrating that we enter a club and like Typo Negative is playing. I don't think we knew about them at the time, did we, Frank?
I did see them once. I saw them on the Life is Killing Me tour with Lacuna Coil 1,000 years ago.
There were a lot of goth girls there.
I'm having technical difficulties. I'm gonna leave and come back in. I don't know what the heck's going on, but
Yeah, so I guess it's not the browser then.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll be right back. I just got to
Yep.
exit and come back in. It'll fix it. Sorry, guys.
Be
1
back.
second.
Okay, let me change the password real quick. It's my show now. We're
Murder
gonna
face.
talk about
Just call it blue.
Eiffel 65.
Yes. Dungeons and Dragons is a harsh mistress.
So Frank, has Greg told you that you're my nemesis?
We're gonna have to fight, I think,
Yeah.
eventually. So we need a training montage, both of us.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like, after like 30, 40 minutes, my camera just starts lagging out. It doesn't matter what camera I use, like all of StreamYards lags out, and it's super annoying. Anyway, you guys were probably saying mean things about me, but while I was gone, but it's okay.
Of course.
No, Victor and Frank are about to fight.
Oh,
Yeah.
what are we fighting about? I want to know.
I have no idea.
No, he's my nemesis.
Oh, okay.
Greg always keeps bragging about how awesome he's like, yeah, he does the best layout and the best world building and the best this and the best that, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm over here just struggling by myself, just barely making it in this shit industry, and it's like, yeah, stop bragging about the Renaissance man over there.
Oh yeah, Frank just we're recording 4 new videos. Frank is anyway, and he made a new album. And he's going to lay out my book, and then he illustrated 20 new things for the book too.
Yeah.
It's like, poor Victor.
You're killing me, Greg. You're killing me, Greg.
Yeah.
Well, Victor's got a cool accent.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, I'm glad you think so anyway, but yeah.
To the Aztec metal thing, this I just wanted to share it real quick. Let me see. This is Semiken. Let me see. They played at Wacken this year, I guess. They're pretty silly. Make sure it's not too loud.
Is that a didgeridoo?
Whoa.
I mean, that's pretty sick.
They're like Aztec Immortal.
Yeah, that's pretty dope.
He has a slave. Nice.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned Heilung. Like, I'm not sure if it counts as metal, but I do like all those bands that are like they sing in like old like Germanic and like old like Norse and stuff like that, and they're just like on stage like wearing like, you know, skins and like stag horns, and they're just like growling. Like that.
Yeah.
That's just cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're cool.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of bands like that now. I think they did music for that show Vikings, actually.
Yeah, and there's like
Fucking
music
did
like that
the
in the
theme
Northman too.
Oh,
The
man.
Northman's really good.
Someone's-
I'm trying to catch up with chat here. I feel like I've been
Yeah,
neglecting chat, and people are probably saying interesting things.
Yeah, they mentioned the Christopher Lee metal album.
Yeah, he did a metal Christmas album. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
at like
Oh.
90.
only he could get away with that. It's awesome.
Malachi says I'm going to get canceled because I was excited that there was a slave being dragged on stage.
Yeah, they're gonna get
I
canceled
was
for that.
just pointing out that the guy with the slave gained a lot of experience in John's game.
He did.
Probably maybe even gained a level.
Five times as much.
He might have leveled. He might have leveled up. Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think, like, besides Christopher Lee, what celebrity would be awesome in a metal band? And at first I thought like Vincent Price, and then I'm like, wait,
No,
he was on Thriller.
yeah,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be good.
So my buddy, he had Chat GPT, and he had him write this long thing about me in the voice of Vincent Price in the monologue opening of Thriller, and it was fucking perfect. It's fucking perfect.
ChatGPT is weird. How did it do that?
It was fucking perfect.
Yeah, there's all these gimmicky metal like subgenres that I just can't get into, like pirate metal. It's very lame. Like,
Yeah,
Fat Chicks at the Renaissance Fair, like pirate metal.
that's you nailed
about-
it. Fat
What about
chicks at the
steampunk metal?
Yeah, steampunk metal. There's like goblin metal there's that band Necrogoblicon.
Apparently, Vincent Price worked with Alice Cooper first.
Okay. Shit.
I have to check this out.
Okay, they're not metal, but they're more punk. But the Darkest of the Hillside Thickets, they're like an awesome like Lovecraft themed band. They sing about like Innsmouth and stuff like that.
Look, that's like Electric Wizard. They have a song about Dunwich, the Dunwich Horror. So, yeah.
I think the most evil shows I've been to were not metal. It was definitely punk. So I was at in here in Atlanta, Midtown Art Cinema, and I just saw a movie with my wife, and we went to this bar next door called the Highlander. It's a metal bar. And we're just getting drinks, and there's like a venue room attached. And we hear all this music, and I'm like, I'm going to go check it out. So I go over there to it. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's a Satanic Temple meeting in here. And they're like, $10. And I'm like, when am I ever going to get a chance to see something like this ever again? So I paid the money. My wife and I went in. And it was all these like punk rock bands and like circus performers. And that was it. But I was like,
damn it.
This was this was like the Satanic Temple meeting. And it was these punk rock bands dressed up as mummies and shit. It was, yeah.
It's not what you wanted.
Was it worth the $10?
Yeah, it was worth the $10.
Okay.
That bar serves, speaking of metal, the Iron Maiden lager. There's an Iron Maiden beer.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they got a little bit more metal later on, but they started as like punk. Turbo Negro. I always like Turbo Negro. But that guy died like a couple of years ago. The main guy.
I don't think I listened to them. Again, even within metal, that's like what's crazy is I feel like any subculture, subgenre like that, like you're really easily miss something. And I don't know. That's why it's kind of cool to have these conversations where you're like, I haven't heard that before. But I think as I've gotten older though too, it was funny because I was like going back to the elitist thing. You know, I was like pretty elitist about stuff, and then as I got older, you know, being a musician and playing guitar and wanting to always be better, you know, because I was like a prog guitarist. Like I learned to sweet pick and alternate pick and all that stuff. You know, that was my thing. So then, you know, you're sort of just like, oh, you know, Al Di Meola is pretty cool. So I remember, it's not metal, a little off topic, but I remember my buddy Joe, who was a singer in my band. Him and I went to the Canyon Club in Thousand Oaks to see Al Di Meola play, and we were like the youngest people in the whole concert. Like everyone else was like 50 and above. And we're just like watching Al Di Meola shred on acoustic guitar. But I don't know. My it's funny because it's like I feel like my tastes broadened, but I don't know. Metal still has a special place in my heart, I guess.
Yeah. The problem with elitism, and I'm not saying elitism itself is inherently bad, because you know you should be elite about certain things, like right. You should be a winner, but like having that elitist mindset kind of starts to lead you down a path of being negative about everything.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks. Like you start to define yourself more about what you hate rather than what you like.
100%.
Like our friends back in high school, they never talked about how awesome this band was or how cool the song was. It was always like, oh, death metal sucks, or that's not true metal. Like, you know, it's always just negative about shit, you know?
Well, I see that on Twitter in the RPG world. Like, so much. My God, it's just people fighting. It's just people hating.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of people that their whole tabletop like presence is just like hating like D&D or whatever, and I never see them actually talk about the games that they like. You know, it's just like, oh, 5th edition sucks. It's like, well, what games do you like? Well, I don't know.
I don't play games.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Someone says, point me to the Celine Dion metal cover band.
I'm sure it exists.
That's pretty great. Someone says, love what you love. There you go. So prog band that I like that to me brings just feelings of the RPG and D&D world is Rush.
Rush? I like Rush.
Yeah. I feel like they've kind of crossed over into the fantasy thing a lot. Kind of sci-fi and all that.
Speaking of sci-fi, have you guys heard of Star One, Dutch metal band? They did like this awesome album that's like all the songs are based on like sci-fi movies. They've got one, I think the Eye of Wow, whatever, which is about Stargate. There's one about Star Wars. There's one about Dune.
Wow.
There's like they have like all these songs and they're actually like really good. The band's called Star One.
Add them to the list.
Someone
did you
needs
ever
to
listen-
Reddit, huh?
I'll say because Vic is Dutch. I've never asked him this. Did you ever listen to Textures, Vic? Have you ever heard of them?
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but
They're a Dutch band. They're not around anymore, but they were pretty good. They're originally from Tilburg, Netherlands, so I don't know where that is.
I've been to Tilburg.
Is King Diamond Dutch or is he from Denmark? I can't remember. I think he might be. He's Danish, right? King Diamond?
Could be.
I'll have to look it up.
When I was like a teenager, Within Temptation was like huge here, and you know that's Dutch, but that's like kind of like cringe symphony metal. So I kind of like Ice Queen by them, but that was it.
All right, so everybody go. Let's go around in a circle. Everybody give a recommendation.
Okay. I'll go first because I got a couple in my mind. So I'll give from a couple different genres. So if you want cheesy power metal to play at your table, I really like Pagan's Mind. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Pagan's Mind.
I've heard of them, yeah.
I think I shared them with you, Greg, and you're like, this shit is cheesy. I'm like, I know, it's great, right?
Yeah, it's really cheesy. It's fine.
I'm mad in my Spotify right now. Pagan's Mind. Okay.
Pagan's Mind is really good, and Threshold is a prog band that I always come back to that doesn't get enough love. I really love Threshold. They're like a UK band. I like their music because it's very like pro free speech stuff, and it's just neat. They're just a neat band, and the singer's really good. Like if you're into very like good musicality, the whole band is like very good. So Threshold, those will be my two. I'll recommend two: Pagan's Mind and Threshold. Check those out.
All right, if we're going clockwise, that's me. I don't listen to as much metal as I used to, but two real obscure ones that I used to like and not many people know about. I talked about the Chasm. Look up the Chasm, Death Cult of Eternity, The Triumph. That's like one of their best albums from the early 90s. And there's another melodic death metal band called Nocturnus. And they have an album called The Key.
Yeah.
And The Key is badass. Like really badass. And we also talked about Dungeon Synth. One of the most popular Dungeon Synth artists like in the world is this guy called Hole Dweller, and all his albums are about the Hobbit.
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Hole Dweller is good, and I found out that he lives down the street from me. He's the most popular Dungeon Synth artist in the world.
Want to collaborate?
He literally lives down the street from me, like a small world. I'm like, what the hell? And I found him. I was talking to the guy on YouTube, and he works for this company that makes amps, like expensive, like custom amps.
Nice.
And I asked him, dude, you want to play D&D sometime? And he's like, oh, I've never played D&D. I'm like, how are you in? How do you make albums about the Hobbit? And you make custom amps, and that's your job. You custom amps, and you've never played D&D. Like, I thought that was weird. But anyway, those are my recommendations.
I'm going to go with Conception. They're a prog band. If you get their stuff from the 90s,
Conception's great.
Yeah, Parallel Minds, that's the name of the album that I really like by them. And then for death metal, Suffocation, Pierce from Within.
That's a good album.
Someone in the comments just recommended my album. Thank you. You're very kind. You're very kind.
Thank you.
Oh, he also makes metal music. Oh yeah, Renaissance man over there.
Nick's not jealous at all.
No.
We're gonna have
What's
to
it
fight.
like actually having skills and?
We're gonna have to fight. We're like Highlanders.
Yeah.
The only
you can't
one.
let Victor win. He'll steal all your powers.
Yeah.
And then he might be able to grow a beard.
Yeah. I'm like the Kurgan.
Yeah.
I can't grow a beard.
No, Frank's in the same boat.
Yeah.
Well, you said you don't know too many metal bands, but Vic, but is there I forgot too that some that you mentioned already. But if you have suggestions, go ahead.
I mentioned this just now about Star One.
Star One, okay.
I love that band. Their album Star Metal is awesome. Like I said, every song is about about a sci-fi movie. They have one about Outland, even that Sean Connery movie. It's called High Noon, and it's awesome. So yeah, check that out, Star One. Other than that, I don't know. Fucking the normie choices I already mentioned. I guess like Electric Wizard is awesome if you like your speakers like vibrating off your desk. They're bass so deep. And then yeah, I know Rammstein. Listen to Rammstein. Rammstein is awesome.
Yeah.
Eiffel 65.
Yeah, and Eiffel 65, of course. Yeah, and baby metal.
No baby metal. I mean, their band is good. I don't know how much like. They're obviously like an act, you know. They're put together, but the guys who play that music, they're good. Yeah. They're talented. And
Eiffel 65 is like if you took an AI bot and like ChatGPT and said, "Give me the most European band," and like that's what they shit out, and like you get that as the background.
I thought that would be Marillion.
Baby metal is a blight upon mankind.
Listen to Limp Bizkit. I don't know.
The chocolate starfish and the hot dog flavored wine.
I actually had that CD when I was young. I got it for my birthday once, and I actually listened to it a lot. So yes, I know that era. So
when I was in junior high, new metal was like the thing. So like in junior high for me, it was like peak because I think I'm younger. I think I'm younger than all of you. I'm the youngest one here. So like it was Linkin Park and Korn and Deftones were huge when I was in junior high. That's like what everyone. Yeah. If you listen to metal, you listen to those guys. I still like Deftones. Though.
Dude, I was about to say I'm like Deftones are legit. If that's getting laid with a goth chick music right there.
I still like a lot of Korn unironically. I mean, I'm not going to apologize for it. So yeah.
No,
John,
you shouldn't have to apologize.
So
John, did you have giant Jinkos with a chain wallet?
No, I didn't do that. My mom wouldn't buy me that crap. Come on.
Some metal adjacent new metal that's actually really, really good is A Perfect Circle.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good. I like A Perfect Circle.
I'm a what? It just that's his avatar there, his Dutch boy.
Yeah.
Luckily, Arrow says, "Does Weezer count as metal?" I don't think so, but Weezer's cool too. I like Weezer. My wife likes Weezer, so.
What, you don't like my Dr. Brule Dutch boy?
It's ingenious.
Let me see. Any other stuff here in the chat here?
So you guys realize we got to start a metal band, the four of us now. We're gonna call it.
Who's singing?
That'll be Greg, probably.
Should I share some of my old music from 11 years ago?
I want to hear it. We tried to share ours. We couldn't find it on YouTube.
It's erased from.
If you go on Discogs, I'm sure you'll find the album.
So this is my SoundCloud from 11 years ago. Put it in here. Let's see. I was into Gent at the time, so
cool image.
Nice edgy picture.
Oh, okay, that's really loud. Hold on a second. It's really loud for me. How do I turn this down? I don't even know how to use this. I'm such a boomer at this. Let's see. I have no idea how to use this.
Yeah, I don't see a volume thingy.
Well, there you go.
waiting for your high-pitched teenage voice to come in.
I don't sing. Not in this.
I'll play D&D if I want to, Mom.
It's kind of blues like this for now. More like riff metal-y. But...
I am very impressed. This is solid.
Then it just repeats the outro. We don't have to keep listening because it's kind of repetitive.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's just restarting. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I was this was after my band broke up, and like our singer had to go get like a real job, and we'd been a band for like a while, and I was still writing music like 5 years after we broke up. So I was just doing it for fun. But
did you do all the instruments on that?
I did guitar and bass, and then the drums were Drum Kit from Hell.
Okay.
I used Drum Kit from Hell, and then synths were like I think I used Fruity Loops in those. So mostly, but I arranged everything. But the guitars are real and everything. But this was with my 8-string guitar too. I used my 8-string on this song.
Very cool.
So I was into Gent at the time. 11 years ago was about when Gent was like pretty big, so I was having fun with that back then.
Mm-hmm.
But
I am
pretty sweet.
Very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
I have a web song that I did still on my PC, and it's never gonna ever see the light of day. Ever. Nobody will ever hear this. I will take it to my grave.
One day I would do a rap battle.
Oh my God. You have to. You have to.
Yes.
We've talked about it before. He has. He must.
Be rabbit. Be Greg.
I wonder if I could find my band's old stuff from when I was like 19. I don't think I have it anymore, unfortunately. But it's probably super cringy. No one wants to hear that. Never mind.
We
I can't even find it.
It's like us. Like we made one black metal album that was super cringy. Like I don't think it's very good, but we tried our best. And like no, we never released it. Never showed it to anybody. In fact, I lost it for like 20 years. I don't know what happened to it. And then Frank bumped into this girl that somebody that knew what it, not only knew what it was somehow, but had the music and had listened to it. But how the hell did that happen?
Well,
wow.
Not only that, she's got all of our books too.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
And I was like, bullshit. You don't have our books, bullshit. But so I go to all these like different goth night, my wife and I, in Atlanta. There's different raves that we go to, like twice a month. And this was the second time I ran into her, and she had our setting handbook at the fucking rave. She went to her car, fucking like brought the shit in for me to sign at the rave. I'm like, who are you? And why do you have my like?
What is
how,
this?
Like what are you talking? Anyway, but then she's heard of our like the music and all this shit, and I'm like, Okay.
Yeah. It's like literally an album that I never released publicly to anyone and kind of embarrassed by it. And I don't even have a copy of it anymore.
Yeah, like I said, I
But
had to
she
get off
had it
eBay.
somehow. How did she have it? Anyway,
Y'all got a
weird.
stalker.
Yeah, it's like some fucking demon that's like haunting you.
It's probably back in the Napster days, like 2001 in high school, when or 2002, when maybe someone just downloaded it off my computer and I had no idea.
Maybe. But then how would they know it was you? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's the weird part.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
And she's like, "Can you sign this Ziploc baggie of your hair?"
That's right.
Your toenail clippings.
No, my wife took a photo of me like signing the stuff, looking super awkward. I just like I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah. What do you do about that? That's
But,
okay. She bought her book. I don't care.
I wish people got me to sign books for them.
Well, I didn't know what to write. I'm like, thanks for buying my D&D stuff. But anyway, the weird part is every time I tried to talk about D&D throughout the night, she's like, yeah, like nothing to say, like really, it's kind of weird. A total stalker situation.
Guys, it's been a great stream. I think we should start wrapping it up, though.
All right.
Oh yeah, I have to work in the morning.
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your guys' time, and it's super. Vic. I'm surprised you didn't say you guys can't complain because Vic, it's like 5 a.m. for him over there right now.
It's 6 actually. Yeah.
6. So.
Holy cow! Damn. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Do you guys want to talk about anything? Or you guys got any upcoming projects? So you guys got the new Dungeon Synth album out. Let me see if I can put it in chat here.
Darkrune on YouTube.
And Bandcamp. Yep.
Yep. Our first one got how many views, Greg?
34,000.
Nice.
I don't understand how or why, but
I have no idea.
It was like
I listened to all of it the other day while I was writing. So yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, here we go.
And then Greg said I was supposed to buy it. I was like, what? I'm supposed to buy it?
I didn't say you were supposed to buy it. It's free to download. Why would you buy it?
He said it's mandatory.
Yeah.
I already want to work on a new one, actually. So I've already got a bunch of ideas. But what's our next project, Greg, we're doing right now? We're working on the Kaiju game.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about, and Frank's been writing. We're gonna do a Halloween one shot based on Full Car.
Oh, cool!
That's gonna be a cool little adventure.
If you've seen the Wicker Man, the original movie, kind of inspired by that. Not the Nicolas Cage one, but the good one.
We haven't done a horror adventure before, so I think it's gonna be pretty fun.
I actually just started myself on the new 5e project, so yeah.
Cool.
Tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, talk about it.
Oh, it's gonna be refined modern 5e modern rules, but with a setting attached. The setting is tentatively called Blightwood. It's gonna be kind of like urban fantasy Sin City. It's like Sin City mixed with the movie Bright, mixed with like Gotham City and like the 1980s Batman. So I kind of want like that almost timeless like noirish vibe, but like with orcs and machine guns and stuff like that. So yeah.
Sold.
Yeah,
sounds cool.
So it's basically going to be that.
Cool as hell. And John is probably still deep in the weeds with his Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Macuahuitl funded that. I can't talk right now. I'm tired. I hit it fundled. Fumbled my words. We're almost at 12K here, which is just
awesome.
Mind blowing to me. With 20 days to go. So
yeah.
People really want to be Aztec warriors. So yeah.
Yeah. Are you still gonna have that final rush? So yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
It looks really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I don't get the hate you get because I'm a bit of the Renaissance man, I guess too. I do the one man show kind of thing here. Yeah, Mr. Fundled. But I'm again super thankful for this, for everyone that's backed this. If you have backed it, and it means a lot to me. Little passion project that I didn't know would be this successful, and I'm just blown away. And I'm using the same printer as you guys in Lithuania.
Lithuanians.
So, yeah,
That guy's real nice.
He is very nice. He was the only one that talked to me and gave me a good price. Everyone else was like, "Yeah, we don't want to work with you. So you're too small."
Clear out some space in your garage because they're going to ship a whole pallet.
Oh, I'm using a fulfillment company.
Cool.
So they're going to store the books for me and ship them out to backers for me, because I would probably screw something up, and so
that's what we're going to do next time.
I gave Greg the contact information of these guys. They gave me a very good price on fulfillment. So, and because of the shipping that they have, the deals that they have, I think what has allowed my Kickstarter to be so successful is I am able to offer shipping to Europe and a lot of different places at a very reasonable price for them. I mean, like Vic got it, so hopefully he'll be able to get his book. I don't know. He has bad luck with the post office, but
I never got my 2 ebooks.
But we'll see. But yeah, I'm super thankful for this, for everyone that backed this, and I hope I don't disappoint you all with it when you get the book in your hand. So
yeah, looks great.
I can't wait.
But yeah, we'll end it here. It's been about almost 2 hours. It's usually what we go for. I want to thank you guys both for coming on. It was a fun conversation. I hope everyone else enjoyed it. Maybe you found some new bands to check out or to play during your D&D game, because it's a pretty appropriate. I say play metal. Who cares?
Do it.
during your games. It fits. It works. Mm-hmm. There's a link there. I think once you try it, you're like, oh yeah, this works if you've never done it before. But yeah, and then also thank you, Vic. Everyone when you weren't here when you came on, everyone was like, "Where's Vic? Why isn't he here?"
Yeah, I know. that's kind of why I decided to pop on eventually. But I wanted to give you guys some time to get all the really hardcore metal talk out of the way. So yeah,
gotta fly in here. Anyways, yeah, we'll close it out here. Thank you guys for coming on. It was a fun conversation, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Yep,
cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.